Be having some lunch soon here. Just put pizza in. I've been really enjoying having it with paneer cheese, so I'm going to cook up some of that in a moment. And then be quite good with the bacon in it. I understand vegans. I understand vegetarian. We don't have to debate about that. Not debate about anything really. But anyway, but I just wanted to come and quickly do a podcast. I was actually just doing one, and there was a couple things. One, a sort of a tech thing, sorry, and one, I was being distracted by something. Um, but I do have ADHD, and it does happen, and it's already happened. um, but so I wrapped up. Yeah, I did say something about Java there. But no, there's some good optimistic things in there, and I mean, I could talk to that person more about helping them with unemployment. I don't know. I think he subbed T. I'm not sure, and I'm curious what that stands for. I'm not sure if if that individual heard me say. So I'll say it right. I'll say it nice and early in this podcast that I did recently do a podcast about unemployment. I'm always doing one about wellness and you know, uh, wellness and opportunities and how to try and make the most of life. So but yeah, that one was a bit more specific. So hopefully anybody that would resonate with will notice that. Um, but I got this idea. It's partly based on something I watched in between. It was partly, I guess, came from the feeling of love and kindness and respect that I got from. Not that it's rare, but I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, 'cause, I was doing it for a while, and there's so much on YouTube and ADHD and people judging too quick and people being shown all kinds of things they want to watch or whatever. It's true that a lot of them are quite quiet in my streams, more than they should be. I feel, but sometimes they're not. And even if the numbers are small, and sometimes the indicators are inaccurate, but if people are commenting, then they're commenting, and the difference that one or two can even make. I can keep up with a few more than that, but one or two, I'm very thankful as well. And not like it's hard to be loving. I don't know if it's that being that I'm not out and about and as social and closely connected in physical in person connections these days, or what it is. It resonated more with me for some reason. I always appreciate it, but I think that it just kind of really kind of sorry, it really kind of made me kind of extra happy to have those interactions, which are the type of interactions we should all have and we all want, and that fits in with the title, which I was just remembering too, as someone who's been starting to browse live streams more. Um, Not that I don't watch other videos and come across people, but I can't remember where I left off on that, but I've been enjoying that. I mean, you find a real mix. You find yoga classes, you find people playing bingo in a group, you find a real mix. But I find that you find the kind of like I say, it's not just sports and politics and news or whatever. You actually find individuals that, you know, like to chat and stuff, which is really quite nice. And I realize that and it's because of that especially that I realized, because otherwise I used to just go to the news feed or I'd be searching something and that's how I would come across something. I realized that some people are not necessarily going to see the title. If they're just scrolling, I'll go back and look later and it's like, oh, I clicked something that was called that. I mean, I wouldn't have otherwise perhaps, but because I'm just scrolling, so you never know what you're going to land on and who you're going to land on. And then you at least see. I mean, you could click around and see something a little bit, but so I understand that if people see this raw live, they might not know what it's even about. They're just scrolling and happen to land on it. So I don't have a lot of time before lunch, and people who see this may or may not need to hear this, and the person was over there for a few seconds, but I'll put it out there anyway. Just a little brief message. I'm going to try and keep it brief because I've had a bit of an active morning, my energy level, and it really isn't something that has to be complicated or complex. And like I say, also lunch. Not that I sometimes don't eat during my podcast. If I'm having a good time and doing a long one, and things build up nicely, that's great. But but um, I've said something since then, didn't I? I was sure I had. Sure of it, I tell you, sure of it. Hmm. Hmm. Anywho, it was interesting, you know, love is very, I guess the phrase is second nature. I don't know why that, I don't know, there's some weird phrases that we have as people out there. Like, shouldn't love be first nature? Like, what's first then? Just simply existing? Thanks for the like, by the way. But love is something that comes very easily to me. Some people maybe struggle with it. Maybe because they haven't been given it enough, although I don't know if I'd say that's a good reason, or because I don't know. I just feel like love is the answer. And if you are, nobody's watching at the moment that I can see, but if you are watching this, well, again, this makes more sense to say if there's more people here watching this live because of that other thing I said. Otherwise, you will likely see the title. Um, but I'm just doing this because it's a good reminder, and I mean, again, I think a lot of people are pretty naturally already good at it. But if anybody struggles with it, I mean, it's also a reminder that you can get there. You can improve in those areas. It'd be interesting to hear from people why they kind of struggle with love. But again, it's one of those things. This is a shared channel between me and somebody else in the house. Um, Not knowing exactly what somebody may say, certain topics I can kind of guess a little bit though, and it's not that this is a bad one. It's not, but when we're talking about why it's struggling to love, that is something that could be very deep, could be very kind of almost come across um, some negative feelings. Um, and I don't know if I really want G to see those. He's not likely to look otherwise. So, as far as, but I mean, I don't think I'm going to ask it again while doing this, and nobody's here. So I don't know what to say. I guess I would say, even if you do talk about why you struggle with it, maybe talk about why it's worth it as well, the positives that you feel connected to the feelings and thoughts around love of various kinds. I prefer not tough love, but just because it's a phrase that people use, and I guess you can be a little bit tough on someone who you love, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also not really something I really want to talk about because I'd rather not focus on tough stuff right now. I mean, I kind of already do in some ways, but the amount that I do so is good enough for me. Let's keep it light and fun and enjoyable, and like I say, good loving. But I do want to say a little bit more about this other point. And again, it can be for people that see this after or during, but every now and then I'll say something, which is something I've always been in favor of or supported, but I'll say it in a certain way. I think just in the past podcast I did too about the afterlife, but I'll say it in a certain way, and it's like, Actually, that's a great way to put it. So I wish that there was somebody watching right now, but again, there can be the ones that watch afterwards. And basically, it's around the thought of taking a sip of water first. It's around the thought of we all, I'm hesitant to say that we all deserve love because some people really don't treat other people very well. And so, sure, maybe they deserve some understanding and empathy, but they're hard to love, right? But love is a human need. We all feel the need for it. We all have people and things that we love, likely, even if we have a lot of people and things that we don't love. And we all want others to love us, right? So I think just the fact that it's so universal, as are some other things, just the fact that love is so universal that we know what it feels like to be loved, we know what it feels like to need love. We know what it feels like to feel sadness or loneliness. We know what it feels like not to. There was another just a moment ago, like for like less than a minute. Anyway, I think it's a good enough reason to say that that nothing hugely sparked this. It's just I felt like talking about it for a few moments. It's a good enough reason to say that love should be our goal. With others. Um, if they're not doing anything untowards to us, then we should at least feel a kindness to them, feel a likeness, liking to them. Um, you know, love is not just romantic. Of course, it can be, but and certain people that are like, well, they whatever. Well, I don't know, because when we're talking about like, there can be like intimate love that's not necessarily romantic, right? Um, or not necessarily a dating partner. But yeah, it's basically, it's a very simple concept. I don't really need to go on about it much more, probably. But yeah, I just wanted to come and talk about. See, I said what was the name of your time, but where Hilda and Ray came in was quite nice. Maybe I'll try and find that. Like, I'm trying to decide what do I want to watch while I'm having lunch. Do I want to show G's? I mean, I have a bunch of stuff already open on that, but do I want to show the one they just did? Maybe if I can click on it in here. Sometimes it's wonky and you can only open it on one device right at, and like not long after. Or do I want to scroll? What do I want to do? I don't know. But I want you to, and I don't know who I'm saying this to, but still, I want you to love yourself, and I want you to try and love others, I don't want to like outright be asking you to love me in any way or form, but I don't want to be asking you to hate me either. I mean, it's true, teamwork. So, I mean, I think that I'm a pretty likable guy. I see strangers that I come across on here somewhat often, uh, you know, seem to agree. So, and, you know, we can be trying to be a great person and trying to put all kinds of love in the world and still feel like it's lacking in our own life. This is true. But I would also say that the more that you do those things, the goodness and the love, so I'm just looking at another device as well, the more that it will come to you as well. Because, I mean, nobody's going to necessarily feel kindness towards somebody who's being a DIOT or a GERK or anything like that, right? But if you are a good person, other people will more likely be good to you. So that's the message that I'm sticking to it. And yeah, I've got to go do some stuff in the kitchen now. So wrapping her up, wrapping her up, putting a bow on it, metaphorically. But yes, it's always fun to do these live streams, so to have conversations with y'all. So don't be shy, and feel free to check out the other ones that I posted. I'm saying this just as somebody tunes in. I'm just about to finish up, but if you want to chat for a few minutes, we can certainly. Okay. Technically, the pizza probably should be, and I have two different ones in because I was curious about one and feel like it might be more one I'll enjoy, and then one that more one's pepperoni. So I mean, again, we have to talk about vegan vegetarians. I understand, and I even partially agree. But when you have our food, you can't be too picky. But I've got a bunch of reading I want to do. I got other things I want to do. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up now. And hope everybody has a great day full of love. And let's spread it. One thing I do want to start doing more as I'm going through live streams is, and I mean, I usually say where I'm watching from, like I usually say, I'm in Canada because I am. And I usually, sometimes will say, hi, how are you? Or comment on something that's being said. Um, but it's always good to give compliments too. I mean, unfortunately, some people will be uncomfortable receiving them from people that they don't know, whether they know your gender or not. This is true. But it's an example of loving kindness. And it's better than saying somebody's ugly, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to maybe be, not that I'm not mindful when I'm commenting or watching things, but, I think we can all maybe be a little bit more mindful. Some of us are pretty good at it, though, and I think I'm pretty good at it. Anyway, gonna wrap her up. Talk to you later. Take care, everybody.